Hey there, welcome to Rev'n News. My name is Clarence Barnes.
And I'm Mike Robledo. And on Rev'n News, we cover anything that revs.
It's going to be a big show. Wait till you see it. The aftermarket, the upfront, the look into the new year of what's happening in performance and the aftermarket and anything that revs. Straight ahead on Rev'n News.
Now, if you're serious about building a high horsepower motor, your best insurance policy is fasteners. And the leaders in fastener technology is ARP. We caught up with ARP at this year's PRI show to see not only who they're working with, but some new technology they have just released. Let's check it out.
Somebody has to be able to make a part to keep all this stuff together, and I'm here with the guys who do that and probably do that the best in our industry. Chris Rasky with ARP. Chris, welcome to Rev'n.
Hey, thank you for being here.
Chris, what is it about the ARP fasteners that you think really is the difference in the minds of these engine builders, why they flock to this booth to use your products?
Well, the quality of the product and strictly the coverage of the product. So we have something for everybody. At the SEMA show, we do something more in a hot rod appearance. We have a car in the booth. And we focus a little bit more on that market. But in here, we've got hardcore engines. We got John Force's Top Fuel engine. We've got ECR Cup engines. We've got Daytona prototypes, Eric Ender's Pro Stock engines from Elite Motorsports, and 3,000 horsepower 12-valve Cummins engines.
It's not just the engine builders. It's the world famous racers that flock to you guys as well too. That's got to make you feel good knowing that you've got that endorsement from all those professional racers.
Well, they build high horsepower. They need a good quality part, and ARP can provide that for them.
Chris, at this show, did you introduce anything different than maybe you had on display at the SEMA show? For example, I'm looking at some of these products here, the intake and the exhaust. What new products or what products are you focusing in on at the show here?
Well, on this particular panel, we're showing all of our different accessory bolts that you can utilize off the shelf. So if an engine builder needs better quality fastener, or just wants to make the engine look better, because you're talking about $80,000, $100,000 engines here. You don't want to put a 2-cent bolt that's going to rust on it. So here you can use our high quality stainless, and we have them in all the different kits as well as in bulk fasteners.
How many races and events do you guys participate as a sponsor? It's got to be like almost close to 50 or 100 opportunities as I look around.
There's I don't even know the number, but yeah, we're in the pro pulling series, the drag races, the NASCAR stuff, the home track stuff. But the heart and soul of us is the small time racer or the local dirt track racer or local asphalt racer. So those are the masses, and those are the guys that really support our company.
What do you think ARP is going to be offering going forward that is going to keep the folks coming back?
Well, we look at new materials, and there's some stuff out there in the development works, but mainly it's all the new models of cars, such as the EcoBoost Ford that's and the Daytona prototype. Well, we've got those engines on the floor. We've got kits being made for those. So anything that's coming out new, we get a phone call, we look at it, and if it looks worthwhile, we're going to build the kits for it.
Chris, can you give some of our Rev'n viewers just a little bit of an insight in terms of what they should be top of mind when they're going to be deciding on what bolts and fasteners they're going to use for either their engine or for their vehicle? What is probably some of the more important things that they need to keep in mind? Do you mind?
Well, the first thing you need to do is look at the existing fastener and what's the reason you want to change it. If you just need a higher strength fastener, or you need something that has good corrosion resistance, what are you trying to do with it? So sometimes the stock factory fastener isn't all that bad, but it is a one-time use fastener. So are you looking for something that you can take the engine apart and reassemble or reuse? So our fasteners are designed so that you can reuse them.
Well, look, thank you, first of all, for spending a little bit of time with us here at the PRI show. Thanks for supporting Rev'n News as well as being one of our sponsors and one of our advertisers. We really appreciate that as well, Chris. I noticed there's a lot of high-profile guys here. We're going to try to see if we can get our arms around Kenny Dotwaller. You have built countless vehicles, probably more engines than I can ever imagine. You could select any bolt or fastener that you'd like based on your reputation and the results of your efforts. Why do you use ARP?
Well, if you think about it, all those parts that you got laying on the shelf in the cart, they have to bolt together. And the only thing that's going to keep them bolted together is the bolt or the fastener or the stud that you use. And if it's not right, it's not going to stay bolted together. I mean, it could be a connecting rod bolt that breaks. It could be a head stud that's not heat treated properly, or the stretch is wrong on it, so you end up with head gasket failures. There's just a myriad of things that a bad fastener will contribute to your poor performance. So having this stuff and having the ability to basically know what each fastener is capable of doing in terms of torque numbers. Like I was just speaking with a guy here before this interview, and we're going to set him up with some custom-made 625 stuff for his Pro Mod motor because of a need for a particular size stud and a lot of clamp force, and that satisfies that problem. So I don't know anywhere else that you could go that you can achieve that level of efficiency. And
isn't it also reassuring as an engine builder and a vehicle builder to know that the last thing you have to worry about is an issue with your fastener or with your bolts? I mean, that confidence that comes with that.
Well, you know, and a rod bolt probably one of the most maligned things in an engine because guys always say, I broke a rod bolt.
Yeah, I heard
Well,
that 1,000 times.
They didn't bother to tell you that they spun the bearing and blew the rod cap off and broke the bolt. But on all the years I've used the ARP stuff, I have never had a single fastener of any kind fail, be it a head stud or a rod bolt or a main stud, nothing. So, you know, your confidence level is just way up. And when you build something that's not right, like 7-8 horsepower per cubic inch, everything's looking for a way out of the container. And if the fasteners will do their job, the whole project is going to be successful. That's simply what it comes down to.
Yeah, very well put. Rev'n viewers, you know, we could talk about it till we're blue in the face. When you hear about things from a guy like Ken Dotweiler, you really should take that to heart. Once again, if you're considering bolts or fasteners for your next build, whether it's an entire vehicle or an engine, I want you to think ARP Performance.
The new 2015 Mustang is an amazing car right out of the box. New independent rear suspension really changes the handling on this pony car. One downside is soft bushings, and the guys over at Energy have come up with a solution for this car. We learned a little more about it at this year's PRI show. Let's check it out.
Hey everybody, this is Joe from Rev'n News. We're at the PRI show, and we're here with our friends from Energy Suspension. Hey Mike, we can't shake each other. It seems like we were with each other, what, a couple weeks ago at SEMA?
I'm waiting for that first paycheck, Joe. I could have swore that, you know, Rev'n.
It's in the mail.
Okay, got it. I read in the contract that we might be doing this a little bit more often.
You know better to read those contracts. We've got a nice Mustang rear end here, and I see it littered with red components.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what you guys have done with this rear end.
Sure. On the 2015 16 Mustang, we did a lot of testing up front from the stock perspective of it, and what we found out is it's a really good handling package out of the box. Now that it's gone with independent rear suspension, it's very compliant, it's very supple, it's very controllable. What it does lack is some firm bushings. There's a lot of compliant rubber back here with all the more articulating parts, such as the rear control arms, the subframe, the differential mounts. All these things need to be buttoned up and bolted up to the car and be pretty stable when they're under load. Well, what's happening is more of the OE factories are using more compliant rubber. So what I've got here is a diff carrier bushing. It's encased in a stamped steel shell. As you can see, it's aluminum sleeve, and it's got really soft rubber innards in it. So again, it's great for noise, noise, vibration, and harshness. But under load at launching and driving it on hard cornering, they like to give a lot. And when you give on that rear end, it's very unforgiving. You lose traction, you lose control, you lose a lot of time. Whether you're trying to get to the light from the next guy or you're actually on a track, that's where you're going to find out the weak links on the suspension, on the chassis.
So obviously we've got the guys covered there on the street where they're going to enjoy a better ride, a more secure ride than we got the guys on the street, whether it's Asian and farm truck racing like they do or the guys running NMCA or NHRA. They're going to see the advantages in the quicker times.
Yeah, we did go much more than having just the rear subframe and the differential mounts on the 2015-2016 Mustang. We came out with the rear control arm bushings, as I mentioned, but we kept going with that with the front control arm bushings and the front sway bar bushings, which balances the whole vehicle out completely. Again, the NVH is a little bit more noticeable, so you feel the car like it was meant to be driven. So it's got a lot of driver feedback. But the advantages are better handling, less wheel hop, better control of the vehicle, and whether you are a daily driver, a weekend warrior, NMRA, NMCA, NHRA guy, you're going to enjoy the car and drive it the way it was meant to be driven.
Hey, so folks, if you're a Mustang guy, a pony car enthusiast, you got to check out the Energy Suspension products. These do make a difference. This is going to give you that advantage that you need. Mike, thanks for spending some time with us here.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Always a good time.
All right, man. Take care.
Now, going to nitrous is a big step in a build, and picking the right nitrous kit is an important decision to make. Now, the guys over at Nitrous Express, well, they do it right because they make all their own stuff. Clarence got the full download at this year's PRI show. Check it out.
So we're hanging out with Mike Abney from Nitrous Express. You know, we talk about nitrous. There are so many people in the space, but only a few guys, when you go to the track, are really doing it right. Tell me a little bit about what separates you guys from the whole space. In nitrous, everybody wants to get in, but you got to find the right partner.
Well, here at Nitrous Express, we actually make our own nitrous solenoids. We make our own bottle valves, our own plates. We do things that make them flow better, so you can get more horsepower per pound of nitrous.
Let's talk about the solenoid. You know, we talk about flow. What's that mean to have the right solenoid as far as an application for maybe a new car?
Well, you got to have a solenoid that flows enough for your horsepower requirement, but also with our solenoids, we've straightened out the flow path so you can actually make more power. It keeps the nitrous more in dense liquid form, so it makes more horsepower even on a smaller jet.
So you're not having like a bend right even before you get to the engine, right?
Yeah, we try to minimize bends in the nitrous flow path. We also make our solenoids out of billet aluminum, so they're lighter weight. They have a carbon fiber cap, so they also reduce the weight, and they look really cool.
So let's talk about this. Here's one of the things I noticed, the Lightning 500 bottle valve, and there are some differences in this type of bottle valve from others. What makes this great?
Well, we started from a blank sheet of paper when we did the Lightning 500 bottle valve. It has a 5/8 siphon tube, it has a 1/2 inch internal orifice, and it has 1/2 inch lift.
So give me a rundown about the specifics of this bottle valve. What separates this, from the pack?
The Nitrous Express Lightning 500 bottle valve was designed from a blank sheet of paper to be the best bottle valve ever made. It has a 5/8 siphon tube, so it flows really well. It has a 1/2 inch internal orifice, and we designed it with 1/2 inch worth of piston lift. So in the end, it provides an unrestricted flow path, and instead of snaking the nitrous around in the bottle valve like some of the current designs, it only has a 45-degree turn in the bottle valve flow path. So this bottle valve, you can change it out and it will make more horsepower even without changing the jets.
All right, let's take a look at the solenoid. You've got lots of hours into this construction, and it's a very important part of your nitrous delivery, I would imagine.
Well, that's a cool thing. We actually make our own solenoid bases, so we could do anything we wanted with the flow path. So with the Lightning solenoid, the nitrous only makes one 90-degree turn inside the body of the solenoid, so it will flow better than a standard off-the-shelf solenoid.
How do you get that information? I mean, I see you guys talking to a lot of people who actually use your product, and they're coming up asking and giving you feedback and things like that. But, I mean, is that important when you go out to all these shows?
Well, it is important talking to racers and whatnot, but how we make this solenoid, flow bench and dyno, flow bench and dyno. We go back and forth, and we've done a bunch of different iterations of this. Ultimately, we come out with whichever one tests the best, then we go into production with that and do a lot of dyno testing. Based on customer feedback and whatnot, we end up with the best product available.
You know, another thing I like about Nitrous Express, you guys are here, Wichita Falls, right?
Yep, Wichita Falls, Texas.
If I call you at Wichita Falls, Texas, I'm going to reach who?
You'll reach one of our tech guys. One of those tech guys will have driven their nitrous-equipped vehicle in this morning, so you'll reach an experienced person that can help you and give you a first-hand experienced tech help.
That's the thing I like about that. Everybody drives what they build at Nitrous Express. You want more information on that? Do check them out at nitrousexpress.com. You know, when you're in search for a perfect wiring solution, there are so many people in the space, but only one company truly makes it painless. Joe caught up with the guys at NPMC for a look at what makes painless just perfect.
I had a chance to catch up with Derek Love, the National Sales Manager here at Painless Performance. Pretty good show so far, D?
Oh, it's been absolutely great. Aisles are packed, people are coming in, the weather's great, people are enjoying it.
I've often struggled with when it got to that point when I was working on my cars or helping my buddies, when it came to the wiring, it's like I wanted no part of it. I tried to wire my 71 Dodge Demon one time and I could still smell that foul smell by not doing it properly. It's sure nice to have a company like yours where you can make some of this stuff easy, huh?
That's one of the things we do. We keep the smoke inside the wires. April Fool's joke we had this year was we put smoke in a jar and we're actually trying to sell it. We concealed the smoke finally. So it's definitely a struggle people encounter, you know. It's the hardest thing for a lot of people to do just because they a lot of confusion and a lot of just misknowledge that they just don't understand about it.
Yeah, and especially now, like my 71 Duster, if I went back and looked at it now, I can almost get a sense of where the wires went. But now, when you take a look at, you open up a hood now, you can even see the engine. Getting involved in the wiring on new vehicles, particularly, is something that most folks just don't have the skill set.
Correct, absolutely. You know, that's what we're down to the core of trying to make everything absolutely painless for them, where everything's labeled, everything's already laid out for them, where it just takes all the questions out of it. And even our install manuals are like no other in the industry. Some of them are 140 pages long, just so we can accommodate the customer and answer all of their questions, so they're not having to go online and find out what some guy in his basement thinks you should be doing.
This is a competitive environment, whether you're selling wheels or tires or carburetors or headers. It's no different with wiring and ignition-related components. Kind of a slippery slope when you start buying on price, huh?
It absolutely is. Guys will spend $10,000 on an engine, you know, because they know about their engine. They know they've got to have the top-of-the-line cam. They understand the faults and from buying the overseas product. They don't really understand that when it comes to wiring, though, and that's what goes back to just the lack of knowledge with it. There's companies out there that have products for $100 for a whole wiring kit. They come people to come to us and say, "How come yours is, you know, $400 and there's ones for $100?" Well, those companies, they don't have repeat customers. They're surviving off that one-time buy, and we've got the guys that come in all the time saying they love our product. They're using it time and time again because it works. It's an insurance policy almost. Are you going to skim out on a couple $100 on something that could essentially melt burn your whole vehicle down? There's a lot of quality control and a lot of details that go into our products that people just don't understand and they don't realize.
What is it, information-wise, that you find yourself talking about here compared to like the SEMA show?
Absolutely. The guys here are the actual blue-collar guys that are working on their car. You know, we've got everything from the shop owners to the guys building their race car in their garage that come here, and they're here asking us the actual ins and outs of products. Going through and actually saying, "I've got my stuff wired up just like this, how do I do it?" You know, they're wanting to know the specifics here. You know, we've had a number of people, every show, even this one, that come up and say, "Your tech support is fantastic," because it goes back to people just get a little nervous when it comes to it. We've got a tech support that answers all the questions for them, and something that when people don't realize what they need to do and they've got someone there that can help them out, they're going to tell their buddies about it.
Was there anything special that you guys introduced here at this show?
We've got the track rocker. It's a 8 relay, 8 fuse system for drag racing or any sort of racing applications. We had it at SEMA, but it's been a fantastic hit here for us.
The Jeep kit was pretty popular at the SEMA show as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There, you get a lot more kind of Jeep and kind of more truck and accessories there at SEMA, and that was the big hit there that we spent the whole show talking about.
Yeah, it went from the pony car show to the big truck and Jeep show this year, it seemed like.
For the longest time, actually, Jeep has been our best market. Our number one selling direct fit kit is for a Jeep CJ. It's called the Trail Rocker, and it's the same concept of an 8 fuse 8 relay center that you mount under the hood, and we put a switch panel inside the vehicle. Currently it's for JKs, but we have TJ, CJ, and universal applications coming soon.
It was painless, as you can see. Check these guys out, really. If you guys are working on a build or you're getting close to finishing it up or you're getting to the wiring part of it, these are the guys that you want to call.
You know, if you're thinking about doing an engine swap, everybody's talking about put an LS in it. Yeah, if you're thinking about doing a swap, there's one company you want to check into, PBM Performance Products. They make an engine kit, a high-performance engine kit that they can ship right to your door that has everything in it. So you don't have to do an upgrade. You get a stock motor or an engine block or something like that. You have to build it yourself. This comes everything in one box. PBM Performance. We caught up with them at PRI. Take a look. So we're talking to Dick Boyer at PRI today. Now, World Products encompasses so many different things, some of my favorite stuff, including really, really cool engine blocks. We're going to talk about that in a few, but tell me a little bit about the history of World Products.
Okay, World Products was formed in the early 90s by a gentleman called Bill Mitchell, and they formed the product or the company to build product that they could no longer buy or to make a better product. Actually started, the company started to build cast iron cylinder heads was what they originally started to make because they couldn't get good aftermarket cylinder heads. So they started by making a cast iron cylinder head. That was their first product, small block Chevy. And it just grew from there to encompass small block Chevy, big block Chevy, small block Ford, and now we make cylinder heads, blocks, all that kind of stuff for different models of engines.
Now, the demands on these engines are so much more extreme. The performance we get out of them is truly amazing. And you guys have come up with some really, really cool products for 2016. Tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. Building engines over the years, one of the main problems we always had is everybody wants more cubic inches, more cubic inches. Well, on a small block, the camshaft location is the limit on how much cubic inch you can build on an engine and how easy it is to build that. So when I first started with World, one of the first things we did was we made this block right here, which is the Motown 2 block. And we couldn't raise the cam up 390 thousandths, but to put a 4-inch stroke in one of these engines, you really don't need to do that anyhow. So we raised it up 134 thousandths, found out what would work as far as being able to make a timing set work, which is what you have to have. We raised that cam up 134 thousandths, so we could clear the 4-inch stroke with a standard connecting rod. And I thought, while we're doing it, why not make the cam journal size bigger so that the guy can put a bigger lift lobe on it, make things better. So we actually put a big block Chevrolet size cam journal on the cam, raised it up 134, and I said, let's go one step further. Let's make it so that if the guy wants a 904 lifter, it's not going to cost him anymore. So we put a flanged bushing setup in the top of this block, so when we install the bushings, we just install whatever size bushing the fellow wants to use, whether he wants to use a 842 or 904, so it doesn't cost anymore. So we can get a big block cam journal cam block with bush lifter bores 904 for the same price as a standard block.
Hey, Ford fans, if you are thinking about building something really cool for your Mustang, or you're just looking for a great Ford block, got something for you. Check this out. This initially, I'm sure, was secret information, but now it's open to the public. You know, the thing I love about this, bulletproof Ford action.
Absolutely. This block, it was redesigned over the last couple of years, and we've added a different material. This block is made out of a cast iron that has over a 50,000 PSI yield strength. So that really, really makes it the strongest block on the market next to a compacted graphite block.
Now, cool thing with that is, I mean, if you want to build a very reliable street machine, you know, street motor, or if you want to load that thing up with boost, I'm thinking it's a great solution, right?
Absolutely. You can put this thing in a street engine that makes 500 horsepower, or you can put it in a turbocharged 450 cubic inch engine that's making 2,500 horsepower. We have a block that fits both the needs.
I'll tell you what, you want more information, if you've got a Ford, no other place to look for a block, I would go to worldproducts.net for all the information.
Well, Clarence, that's another episode of Rev'n News.
Yeah, you know, it is so cool to travel around and meet all the people who are really driving the technology for the aftermarket community.
And the performance aftermarket is always developing new parts, and Rev'n News will be there to catch it all.
Yeah, and if you want to stay in touch, find out more, you can always find us at RevnTV.com, or you can look for us on Facebook, too.
We always appreciate a little like, and you can find us on YouTube. We've got a great channel there, lots of clips. Clarence and I out on the road talking to builders, even our roving reporter, Sherilyn.
There is so much coming up this week. I can't wait for you to see it. It's going to be great.
Next week will be a great show. Thanks for watching. For Clarence Barnes, I'm Mike Robledo. Thanks for watching Rev'n News.